And we're back, segment number 2 with Alan Dershowitz, who is still with law. And Alan, let's talk about Angela Davis. And you call her, I believe, your most ungrateful homicide client.
I was at Stanford University, and she was on trial basically for her life. She faced life imprisonment for breaking somebody out of prison, in the course of which somebody died, and I helped. I didn't play a major role in the case, but after the case was over, she was acquitted after saying that a black woman, communist, could never get a fair trial. Well, she certainly got a result that she liked. She said she was going to go to Moscow and accept the Lenin Peace Prize and devote the rest of her life to defending dissidents. So I gave her a list of dissidents that were in prison in the Soviet Union at the time and asked her to speak up on their behalf, and she absolutely refused. She said these weren't dissidents, these were fascist opponents of socialist democracy. I mean, this is a woman who had no concern for civil liberties and human rights. She was just an out-and-out communist who, whatever the communist did was right, whatever the capitalist did was wrong. And you know, she wouldn't help people in need in the Soviet Union. I recently ran into her, though, a very different Angela Davis, on her main lawyer, and you know, I think maybe she's a changed woman.
John Lennon, I was surprised to read in your book about some guilt that you harbor over the death of John Lennon. Explain that.
I feel terrible. I helped John Lennon win his case against deportation. The United States government, the Nixon administration, wanted to deport him for a petty marijuana offense in England. And Leon Wild, he's a great immigration lawyer, asked me to help him. It was he was murdered. If we had lost, he would have been deported to England, and he might still be alive, well, and singing such beautiful music. So I feel terrible. But when I ran into Yoko Ono once and told her that story, she was very angry at me. She said, no, the 8 years he had in America were the 8 best years in his life. He gave her a son, and so, you know, there's no looking back. If you win a case, I guess you should be pleased.
Yeah, I mean, he could have, God forbid, got hit by a car if he couldn't, wherever he would have been stuck, not here in the United States. You can't, allow me to play shrink for a second, and you should be absolved of all guilt because you can't dictate where it's headed. And the role of lawyers. My son's 14, and one of the things, he's very politically savvy, very involved, an opinion on everything. And, you know, one of the things he's interested is the law. Would you advise...
Very much so, but to make sure that they determine their own careers, not to just fit into somebody else's pigeonhole. In my book, Taking the Stand, I talk about 50 years of the past, but I also project forward 50 years in the future, because the students I'm teaching now are going to be practicing 50 years from now. There's a great opportunity to help people, to change the world, to repair the world. In fact, they're trying to create a professorship in my honor at Harvard called the Professorship of Tikkun Olam, which is the Hebrew for repairing the world, because that's what I've been trying to do, and lawyers can do that. Even if you go to big law firms, you can do that. I work with some big law firms, and the lawyers there do great things. Right now I have a lot of international cases that I'm working on. It's exciting. You get up every morning. You don't know what the day will bring. You don't know who will call. You know, I'll get calls from the President of the United States, the President of the Ukraine, you know, justices, judges, just really exciting. So I would definitely encourage people, young people, to go into law if that's their passion.
Have you gotten any calls from President Obama lately?
I have.
You have?
I have, yes.
And care to disclose what they might have been pertaining to?
One of them was funny. I couldn't take it. I was in a very busy restaurant in Tel Aviv with my wife, where people dance on the table, a Russian restaurant, and the phone rang, and hello, yeah, the White House, President. Sorry, I can't talk. I can't hear. Can you call me back in 15 minutes? I'll rush back to my hotel. So I went back to my hotel. He knew I was in Israel. He wanted to talk to me about Iran, and we spent 20 minutes.
How recent was this?
A year or so ago, and then he invited me to the White House, and we talked more. And I've talked to him over time about Iran particularly, and about the Middle East, and you know, he's a good listener.
Well, he's a good listener, but do you think he's doing the right thing with Iran? I mean, every single day, the mullahs, the chief negotiators, the defense minister, oh, we have no agreement. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're not. Well, the U.S. is wrong in their interpretation, and all Obama seems to be doing is saying, let's give them.
I'm very worried. I'm very worried about that. Iran should never, under any circumstances, be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. They can't be trusted with them. And
you told that to the president, I presume?
Believe me. And, you know, I've said both in print and directly that any president that allows them to develop nuclear weapons will go down in history as another Neville Chamberlain.
And you told, did you use those words to him?
I have used those words, and he's aware of that, and obviously everybody in the administration is aware of that. And I'm fairly confident that there will not be a nuclear bomb under Obama's watch. What worries me is that the Iranians may create the capability of doing it and may wait to see who the next president is. For example, Secretary Gates, who everybody is praising, he's the one who really opened the door to allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons. He basically favored a policy of you know, letting them do it and then control them. He believed in taking the military option off the table, and then he allowed a false report to be issued by the National Intelligence Agency saying Iran had stopped developing. So this is a bipartisan issue because Gates is the personification of bipartisan. He was wrong as a Republican and he was wrong as a Democrat.
We have 30 seconds left. Do you think Obama would resort to military force if necessary?
I don't think Iran would take that chance, so I don't think we're going to see that test. But I do think that if Iran crossed the red line, the president would keep his promise and not allow Iran to develop nuclear weapons.
Folks, it's all in here. Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law, and more on his fascination with Jewish history and Israel and everything and the cases. It's all in the book, Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law. Alan Dershowitz. Alan, such a pleasure to have you here for a half hour. Thank you very much.
Well, it's so much of a pleasure to be on Intelligent Talk, and you're that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, folks, so we're coming back. Still so much more ahead on the Friday edition. I love saying that. The Friday, why can't we say that every day? Of the Steve Malzberg Show, Newsmax TV and radio.